Well, this one's going to be a little bit of a tough one because this, frankly, is just a tough game. Hello, I am Xarkun and this is World of Warships Legends. Today, I will be featuring the brand new premium Tier 6 German light cruiser, Weimar. And instead of doing my traditional review format, I'm going to do this one as a bit more of a commentary because I don't really think it is necessary for me to lay out all of the stats in terms of the good, the mixed, and the bad. There's really nothing bad or mixed about this ship. It is fantastic. You might say that it's a touch on the overtuned side, perhaps a little bit overpowered, and that makes it quite fun and quite satisfying to play, but probably a horrific menace to play against, and ultimately it's probably not the best thing for the game. But this cruiser is basically a high DPM HE and AP slinging menace. Now, it has 12 150mm guns with the unique quarter caliber German penetration on the high explosive shells, meaning these high explosive shells can pen up to 37mm of armor without the benefit of the equilibrium of power skill. And that means, unlike light cruisers of other nations which must use EOP in order to penetrate the all-important 32mm threshold, Weimar can do that all by itself, plus some, without any help, and therefore isn't subject to the downside of equilibrium of power, which is a reduced fire chance. In fact, Weimar enjoys a 10% fire chance on its 12 high explosive shells, which it fires every 5 seconds. The only slight downside is that German high explosive tends to have poor alpha, and that is the case here with only a 1700 HE alpha strike, but I think that is more than made up for by the sheer volume of firepower. Now, the potential HE DPM is roughly 245,000, which might not be the highest potential HE DPM at Tier 6, I'm not entirely sure, but it probably translates into higher actual HE DPM due to the excellent penetration. And the AP DPM, which we're going to see in action here against the Colorado, you see that, a 5k salvo against his broadside, and we're going to get more like that, where that came from. The AP DPM is positively off the charts at 540,000 potential AP DPM, and that is before you add commander skills that buff the AP Alpha, like Punch Through on Karl von Mueller, who I'm using on this ship. So this is a terrifying rate of firepower for a Tier 6 cruiser. It's frankly on par with the Tier 7 Cleveland. This ship would find itself at home easily at Tier 7. It would up-tier very, very well against Tier 7 ships. It would probably even do alright in the Legendary tier with the excellent penetration on its high explosive. To top it off, it also comes with 12 torpedoes in 4 triple launchers, 2 set on either side of the ship. Concealment is decent at, I think, 10.6 kilometers when you build for it. And basically, this is just a monstrously powerful damage dealer. And it's a little too much, honestly. A little bit too much. A little bit overtuned. A little bit overpowered. Maybe more than a little bit, honestly. Let's be real with ourselves. It's a lot overpowered. So, should you buy it? Well, if you're in the market for a Tier 6 premium ship and you like these kind of high DPM cruisers, it plays a lot like the high DPM cruisers like the Cleveland and such, by the way. You do want to keep it behind island cover. You can see the shells are quite floaty, and it's just trying to push into it if you're a battleship or honestly anything else is going to be very difficult. This ship positively excels when ships push into it, and that is why I say, being the way it is, a touch overtuned, a touch overpowered, very good at punishing enemy ships for pushing in. It is not necessarily that great of an addition for the game, because it's likely to contribute to games being more passive once people realize just how good it is, and once, of course, people get good at playing it. It's not the easiest cruiser to play because it is a light cruiser. It's got no armor. It can be dev-struck easily. The one thing that could be said about it is it has a turtleback scheme protecting its citadel with 30mm slopes, but I don't think those slopes are angled well enough to bounce battleship AP at many distances, so it's likely battleships are just gonna punch right through the slope because it doesn't have the angle to bounce their shells and dev strike you anyway. But this thing is also a menace to destroyers. This Mahan pushing out here is making a foolish mistake. He's going to die pretty much instantly. Like I said, the high explosive Alpha Strike, not the most impressive on these shells, but also, like I said, really doesn't matter when you're sending 12 of them downrange at a target like a destroyer. They tend to melt pretty quickly. This game, however, it's a little bit... well, it's looking dire for my team. Let's just say that. We have 0 destroyers left. In fact, we only have 3 friendly ships still floating versus 5 enemy ships, 2 of which are destroyers. And if I have any hope of winning this game, I am going to have to kill both of these destroyers. Luckily, the Weimar does have German sonar, which detects ships up to a range of, I think, 5.4 kilometers. So this Gaeta gets caught out in it. We take the opportunity to start punishing him. We light a fire with that salvo, which will temporarily cause his detection to bloom, allowing us to get yet another salvo sent downrange at him. 8 penetrations on that with the 12 guns. He's got to be feeling pretty sore right now. And the Błyskawica B, right in front of us, is backing up into an island, spotted, I think, in part by our sonar and just because we got so close to him. So he is essentially doomed. The only question is, can he turn out in time to get his torpedoes on target, and can he kill me with those? Well, he's dead, and it doesn't seem like any torpedoes are forthcoming. As I was shooting with him, the Gaeta felt it was safe to open up once more. I think he was shooting my broadside with the AP, but not getting great results. I'm sure the turtleback is good enough to protect against destroyer caliber AP, perhaps cruiser caliber AP as well, but again, this thing is squishy. We leave the Gaeta on just barely any health, and we were so distracted in our positioning here that we didn't realize we were giving broadside to a York. Luckily, he is over-penetrating us with his armor piercing, and we're going to turn in now, angle against him, basically point our nose in his direction, and the armor on this thing is good enough to bounce heavy cruiser caliber AP, so we should have no problem with this, particularly with our high DPM. Even though we've only got 6 guns trained on this guy, he doesn't have a lot of health left, and we should be able to start some fires. There is one. I do believe his damage control is on cooldown, so this fire should be lethal, and the York is going to go down now, but we're still far behind on points. The ship count is even. The enemy team still has 1 destroyer left, though, which gives them a great advantage, but not if that destroyer is going to choose to shoot at me once again, and he is going to choose to do that. I'm concerned with the full health Indianapolis right in front of me, though. You can see I'm moving up just as the Gaeta opens fire. Unfortunately, he gets a fire, and our damage control is on cooldown, which means this fire is going to probably be lethal, but the Gaeta, with such low health, opening himself up to fire like that, it's a cakewalk to get that Kraken. The Indianapolis ultimately takes us down, and we finish the game with 122,000 damage done, the high caliber metal, and the Kraken unleashed. But our work looks like it could potentially pay off. The friendly Colorado on the other side of the map takes down the last remaining enemy battleship, which means it's just this California and the Colorado versus the Indianapolis. Unfortunately for me, these 2 fat, slow American battleships are the only thing that stands between me and, honestly, a pretty epic carry. They're the ones who are going to have to bring it home, so to speak, and frankly, this is probably the worst combination of Tier 5/Tier 6 battleships I could have asked for to be left alive on my team because they're just so very slow. And this is not, of course, a knock on the players playing them, but frankly, we need to watch the end of this game because it's so disappointing. This Colorado, or rather this California, seems to be banking on the idea that he can get into this Bravo cap and he can direct the Colorado on the other side of the map to get into the Alpha cap. And getting into the Alpha cap probably is the right move for that Colorado. He is never, ever in a million years going to catch that Indianapolis unless that Indianapolis wants to be caught. And for a brief moment, as we speed things up here, it does look like the Indianapolis is going to want to be caught. He opens fire once more on the California, and he is able to get a fire set on that California, who promptly uses his damage control. But of course, the California didn't even have his guns pointed in the direction of the Indianapolis, so he's not able to take advantage of the momentary spotting, and the Indianapolis goes dark. Still, the California is banking on the idea that with just about 4 minutes left to go in this match, he can secure this capture circle, have the Colorado secure Alpha, and we can win on points. But can we? Well, when I was watching this, I didn't think so, and I felt my despair growing as time went on. Notice that this California is now turning around. I think he probably should have at least tried to pursue the Indianapolis to begin with. He may never have caught the Indianapolis, but, and maybe he thought that the points would add up in such a way that capturing these two capture circles would be enough to take us over the edge and allow us to win this game with less than 3 minutes left to go. But I don't know. Frankly, right here in this little segment that I'm speeding up, he just spends so much time bobbing and weaving, zigzagging back and forth, as if he has to worry about incoming torpedoes, which clearly he does not. The Indianapolis does not have those, so all he's doing here is bleeding speed for no reason when he needs every ounce of speed to get into this Alpha cap, stop the enemy from accruing points from it, and make up a nearly 200 points deficit in less than 2 minutes. Frankly, it's just not going to be done. And while the Indianapolis a little bit earlier looked like he was playing fast and loose, he was just getting some extra damage in there, and instead of trying to win harder, he's going to retreat off into the sunset unseen for the rest of this game and allow his team to win on points. So ultimately, we are not able to carry this match to victory, which for me was extremely disappointing. This was my third game in the Weimar, by the way. For record, the one right before it, I also did a lot of damage. We did end up winning that one, and the very first game, I unfortunately mispositioned and was taken out rather quickly. So this is a squishy ship, but a fearsome damage dealer. Definitely a little bit overpowered, a little bit overtuned. Honestly, it should probably be set at tier 7, because it is just filthy what this thing can do to lower tier ships. So again, if you want to buy a premium and you're in the market for a high DPM tier 6 premium cruiser, this is by far the best. This is a fantastic ship. Honestly, it's too good, and I would highly recommend it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you have not already done that. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.